Hello, I'm Dylan Bungum. I'm here to talk today about my graduate component assignment for entrepreneurship 5663. So if you want to follow along with the PowerPoint slides I created, that'd probably be your best bet to keep up with what I'm talking about here today. So the business line that I chose to study was the restoration and remodeling businesses, in particular entrepreneur stories from Chip and Joanna Gaines, who founded Magnolia Homes that complements their TV show Fixer Upper, Ty Pennington from Extreme Makeover Home Edition, Kevin O'Connor, Norm Abram, and the rest of their team from This Old House, and then my father, Dean Bungum, who founded Bungum Construction Inc. Some class material references I'm going to talk about today as well is how to create value for your business and how to follow your passion when you're thinking about launching a business, as well as doing the right amount of market research and pricing your product or services appropriately to meet consumer demand. So the first story we're going to talk about today is Magnolia Homes, which is Chip and Joanna Gaines' story. Chip's background was in construction and landscaping in Waco, Texas. He is a visionary and a risk taker. He's quoted saying on a scale of 1 to 10 on the fear scale, starting a new business for Chip is like a 1. You know, the guy's not going to just stop just because something doesn't work. He's going to keep going for it. His mentality was, well, if it doesn't work out, I'll try something new, or I'll just keep going at it until it does. So he never stopped with that kind of thinking. Why wait for something when you can do it now is something else he's quoted at saying. He had many failed small businesses in landscaping and renovation before Magnolia finally succeeded. And if you know anything about the show or Chip and Joanna, you'll notice that they're pretty polar opposite when it comes to personality. So Chip is the go-getter, the visionary, whereas Joanna, she is the numbers, she crunches the finances, makes sure things are good. So where Chip flies by the seat of his pants, Joanna kind of balances him out, where they're able to stay on the same page and before they move forward with something, they have a good plan, which is good. They're a good team that way. So a little bit about Joanna's background. Her father owned a tire shop in Waco, Texas. She anticipated taking over this business until fate played a card where Chip needed his tires replaced, so he showed up and, they met, and the rest was history. They got married. They started doing fixer-up projects together, starting with the first home they bought, and they realized they were a pretty good team. When they stayed together, learn how to be creative on a small budget, which is something that I feel like every homeowner wants to do, is not overspend, but still get the quality there. And that's something they're just really good at, second to none. Where Chip, being the visionary he pushed her outside of her comfort zone, where when she was talking about wanting to start her first home decor business in downtown Waco, Texas, Chip was the reinforcement that told her, hey, why wait? Because Joanna was talking about maybe in a couple of years there'll be time to start that. Where Chip's like, we should just do it like tomorrow. Why do we have to wait to get this going? So lo and behold, she started it, and it was a great success. Even though she had no background professionally in home decor, she realized after she kept doing it and people kept coming into her shop, she gained confidence. And even though she was faking it till she made it kind of in the beginning, as she kept going along, her confidence grew, and she just got better at advising people on how to decorate their homes appropriately. Excuse me. Fixer Upper reality TV show. A lot of people probably heard of it. It's really good. They didn't even know her TV when they started filming Fixer Upper. So how wild is that? They don't even watch reality TV, but yet they're making their own reality TV show. It's crazy. So Chip is the showman, as many people probably know and they've watched the show. But early on, he was uncomfortable in front of the camera. And Joanna early on had to carry the load in the first few episodes until they realized the key to their success was just being themselves, being authentic, being vulnerable, opening up, and that's what America loves about them. They're so relatable, such a great story, and they're just real. That's what's cool about them. That's what's cool about their entrepreneurial story, that they made it. And they're worth $18 million today, along with their show and their business. They got an 8.4 on IMDb. Just an awesome story about a couple entrepreneurs that didn't take no for an answer and just kept pushing until they made it. They did. Their message: be ambitious and dream big. Learn to become comfortable living outside your comfort zone. It's the only way to grow. Kind of like we talked about how Joanna wasn't sure she wanted to start her business, and Chip gave her that reinforcement to go for it. You got to live with passion. You got to do what you love, and never let anyone else's opinion stop you from chasing your dreams, whether that's family, friends, whatever it is. People are always going to have opinions. You got to have your highest opinion of yourself to trust it. Whatever it is you're doing it because you're passionate, you believe in it, you love it. So keep going, chase after it. And don't worry about the money. Something Chip and Joanna both said in a documentary I watched on them was, don't worry about the money. Instead, just make a difference in one person's life. that's worth more than money could ever buy. And I think that's just awesome, because if you're making a difference in other people's lives, you're adding value, that's a way bigger deal than just the money, which it'll come on its own. And that's not their goal. Their goal is to just make a difference, and that they did. Next up, we're going to talk about Ty Pennington and his background from Extreme Makeover Home Edition. Ty had a background as an artist. He also had a background in carpentry. He was an author, and then eventually a television host on this TV show. He became a worldwide icon for volunteerism within communities through his work on Extreme Home Makeover Edition. Self-taught carpenter and home improvement expert, he paid his way through college by taking night classes and working during the daytime as a construction worker, which I think is just an awesome story. Even with that, though, he didn't think construction work would be for him. He wanted to be a model or an artist or an author or something else before suddenly Extreme Makeover kind of fell into his lap. So Extreme Makeover Home Edition story, they started in 2003 through ABC, and they lasted until 2011. They had 9 seasons, and Ty helped rebuild more than 200 homes in the process, which is just incredible, as they were partnered with Sears. And basically the premise of the show, if anybody's watched it, they basically show up to these homes with these families that have undergone catastrophe or some kind of tragedy, maybe a hurricane swept their area or financial hardship, whatever the case may be. Their home is in disorder and dismay. And when they come into this town, they bring the whole community together and they agree to get this house done and remodeled and renovated within 7 days, and they never fail at that. It's just an awesome story of people coming together for the greater good to benefit just someone that's been through something tough in their lives, whether it be a family or an individual, whatever the case may be. Great story about an entrepreneur that made it, chased after his dreams, got it done. Accumulated $10 million net worth, even though he only was paid $75,000 an episode. Only $75,000 an episode. I thought it was an interesting stat. But that being said, still just great testimony. 6.4 on IMDb. You should check it out. Next up, we're going to talk about This Old House. Widely renowned as the original fixer-upper show. The best still for home renovations if you're looking to do something. It's been around since the 70s. The team consists of Kevin O'Connor, Norm Abram, Tom Silva, Richard Trethway, Roger Cook, and Bob Vila, part of the original cast. So this is a story of a bunch of different carpenters and construction workers that all had a passion for renovations and remodels that came together to establish a common goal. So their story, they won 18 Emmy Awards, had 85 nominations, #1 rated home improvement show in America since '79. And their goal is to expand viewers' perception of what a home could be. To basically, in a nutshell, inspire people that might have hired out work to be like, you know what, maybe I can do that project. I can do this myself with the help of This Old House and watching these guys do their thing out there. So 7.7 on IMDb, just another great story of entrepreneurs that made it and just followed their vision, followed their passion, and made their passion a great success. And finally, I'm going to talk about Bungum Construction Inc., and in particular, Dean Bungum, my dad's story. So my dad, he was a salesman for Schilling Paper, as well as Carps and Bakemark, and then eventually as a business development organizer at Americana Bank before he decided to start BCI. He always had a vision since college to start a business. He didn't know exactly what, but he did remember countless summers as a younger man, working construction with family and relatives, where he just found great joy restoring past structures to their former glory. So whether it be a house that needed to be renovated or something else, something that was battered and broken, they'd turn it into something that was either as good or better than it was before they got there. So how fate meets opportunity here, Americana Bank owner wasn't meeting his OCC Bank Commission directive requirements, which led the bank to declare bankruptcy. So this catalyzed the opportunity for my dad to launch BCI in September of 2003. So where someone might think something is a terrible defeat or something where you'd look at it and you'd just be defeated by something, instead my dad turned that into an opportunity. So, little BCI in a nutshell, their mission statement: we're a custom building specialist that restores century-old buildings to their former glory through second-to-none craftsmanship and dedication to our customers' wants and needs. BCI's vision statement is that BCI provides unique solutions for commercial and residential buildings with a focus on specialized customer construction and restoration projects. Attention to detail and pursuit of perfection are the cornerstones which set us apart as a premier restoration and remodeling company. So that's kind of who BCI is here. So a little more backdrop on the history of BCI. My dad had a steady contract with U.S. Bank that benefited both parties very well, all the way up from 2003 to 2007. He remodeled entryways, foyers, bathrooms, landscaping exteriors, you name it, bricklaying. I helped a lot of these in my summer jobs growing up too. But what happened with the recession in 07 is these contracts essentially just came to a screeching halt, where people just weren't paying for people to fix their stuff or hire out jobs. They just were like, well, it's not leaking and broken, we're not fixing it. So obviously that's going to affect any construction company's business. Sadly enough, my dad didn't have the capital to maintain the economic downturn to keep up with just the demand just dropping to zero essentially. So BCI closed its doors in 2009. But there were some lessons learned. I interviewed my dad and we talked about this here. And said, if possible, disperse your business among several consumers to minimize risk for your company in case one of those go belly up. So, like for example, U.S. Bank stopped hiring out jobs. They didn't want anybody coming into their banks anymore and fixing things up because they couldn't afford it. And because my dad had mostly all his eggs in that basket, when they stopped hiring him to do jobs, his job suddenly struggled a little bit, which led to them closing doors in 2009. And then also, had my dad had a larger enough cash reserve supply on hand to maintain during the economic downturn in 2007, that would have also helped. So here's some pictures if you're looking on slide 14 about Bungum Construction Inc., what they did before and after. So the before pictures here is kind of incredible. So the picture on the top left is my house that I grew up in back when I was just a toddler. I still remember, though, them doing what they did. This is my dad up there in the ladder, fixing things up. That's the barn right there in my backyard. Pictures before Bungum Construction started doing their thing out there, and it was just falling apart. Kind of a hilarious story. We had a UPS driver that'd come down to our house regularly, and he saw how battered how the barn was basically just falling apart. And one day we had it strung up to where we had a cable holding up the barn. But to the UPS driver, he looked at it and thought, oh, you're finally tearing that thing down. To that, my dad replied, actually, no, we're going to rebuild it. And the UPS driver laughed, thought he was kidding. And over the years, this would come back and he'd see, wow, we really are restoring this thing. So you'll see the pictures here, how just destroyed it was from just years of just weathering, whatever else was taking place. Yeah, and if you look at this next slide, I'll show you the after. So here's after. That's me and my family. I think it's Christmas Eve of maybe 2005, potentially, or 2004 maybe. And obviously quite the transformation here, similar to something Chip and Joanna Gaines would admire. It was just incredible what my dad did to this barn. And I helped too as a kid growing up. I still have plenty of memories helping out, but this was all my dad's vision. As well as the house, you can see in that picture how different that looks today compared to how it looked back in the 90s when I was growing up. So what's something all these entrepreneurs have in common? They all created value. So they created win-win situations for their businesses and their customers. They got the most out of the services by creating an optimal value proposition, and they captured the need displayed in their market by their consumers. They all had a passion for their business as well, whether that was Chip and Joanna Gaines with Magnolia Homes, or Ty with being a TV host for Extreme Home Makeover Edition, or This Old House, or my dad with BCI. They all were doing what they loved, and they chased after their passion. They did something they enjoyed. So when I was interviewing my dad about what got him to start his business, he said it's just owning a business is just too hard of a thing to do if you don't enjoy what it is you're doing. So the first ingredient, the most ingredient when you're deciding to launch a business, do something you're passionate about, do something that brings you joy, because it's a lot of work. And all these entrepreneurs had fun. They dreamed big to make their dreams a reality. Along with market research, they adequately defined their target market and took steps to ensure they served their primary customers to their best interests. They offered something their research proved that their end consumers needed, and they all found authenticity was the key to them reaching their customers appropriately. So similar to how Chip felt uncomfortable in front of the camera early on and realized when he was authentic, things kind of came into place. It just makes sense. Be yourself, be real, and that's what will make your company different than all the rest. Pricing, you got to make sure your prices are fair, they're consistent with the market, they meet demand, and bottom line, serve your customers. Don't think of the money or how much you're going to make. Think of providing something your customers want and need that adds value to their lives. In summary, today we talked about some entrepreneurial stories from Chip and Joanna Gaines, Ty Pennington from This Old House, as well as my dad, Dean Bungum and BCI, and we talked about creating value, passion for your business, market research, and pricing. Thank you very much.